What do people try to protect you from but they shouldn't? Traveling alone. Literally fuck anyone who thinks I'm too helpless to survive a 4-day city break by myself just because I have a vagina. It's almost always men who underestimate me, too. I really would recommend traveling alone to every woman who wants to. It's such a freeing experience. I refuse to allow men to scare me into never leaving my comfort zone. Edit. You men are doing my job for me by jumping in the replies to underestimate me and other women and act like we don't know basic safety precautions. Men gonna men tears of joy. Curse words. I have the vocabulary of a well-read sailor. Why do these guys all think they need to use euphemisms just because there's a lady present? Pregnant woman here. So far people tried to protect me from lifting 1.5 kilogram, allowed to lift up to 4 kilos, raising my hands, opening windows, cutting my hair, not cutting my hair, eating nuts, not eating nuts, sewing, washing my face. When I worked at a grocery store I was supposed to learn how to make pizza and wings, but the guys there didn't train me on wings because they thought the blood and stuff from the uncooked chicken would gross me out. Because, you know, women never see blood. The truth about a romantic relationship. If this isn't doing it for you, tell me, so we can both move on. Sparing my feelings is actually just wasting my time. My parents would always say, I'm protecting you from making mistakes that could hurt you. Which while I appreciate the effort because they just want me to be happy. But I also feel like has caused me to rebel which hurt our relationship in the end. Criticism. I'm genuinely not sensitive to it. I want to hear it from the people I care about because I want to be better, and they're the people you can trust to give it to you with good intentions. I've had to convince friends and exes that I'm okay with this and that it won't damage our relationships. It's liberating to get to that point with someone. Lifting something they think is heavy. Like, damn, I'm not some wimp. If I need some help I can ask, it's really that simple. I understand that guys have been conditioned to do this or they feel like they're being rude. But if I'm already picking it up it would be cool if they could just assume that I got this. Walking home alone. I'd rather do that than show you where I live, stranger man. Family, secrets. I don't like being left in the dark about shit that happens to my own family, only for me to find out from some other family member who treated it like common knowledge. My parents still pull this crap. I'm in my 30s, and I hate it. Just tell me the bad thing. Health issues among family members. For some reason both my parents and my in-laws don't tell us when there are serious medical issues. We have to hear it from someone else and what little we are told is usually just the tip of the iceberg. Case in point, we were told by a cousin that my Phil hurt his arm. They didn't mention he fell and broke his arm and collarbone. He was in the hospital for 4 days and then upon returning home, couldn't do anything for himself and required an in-home nurse. When she wasn't around the cousin, the same one who said he just hurt his arm, was having to come over and feed and sponge bathe him. Mill is also in bad health. We find out all of this after we go down for a visit. For some reason my parents always wanted to protect me from big bad things as doing my own taxes and public transport. It's quite safe here tbh, and doing things each day of the week, despite not needing their involvement. They just simply got mad at me saying they just want me to be safe if I had school all weekdays and wanted to go swimming or something on the weekend in the local swimming center or baking a cake in our own home for fun. No fucking clue why. It made me quite miserable and I grew up having very little friends as a result. Relationships. I mean dating. My family is quite conservative but they will never admit it, they're extremely mentally conservative. My mother managed to brainwash me into avoiding relationships up until recently, and I'm 20. I'm not sure if she was trying to protect me from heartbreak or because she's just heard a lot of shit about kids these days, and wouldn't want me doing any of that. But now, I regret it so much. I wish I was able to realize that before. Internet dating. I've met some lovely men online and my current partner was found on Tinder. Yet, there's a lot of weirdos out there. And, did you hear about that girl who got murdered? My son. His name. Anything about him. He died last year and people are significant other wary of talking about him around us. It hurts more than it does if they did talk about him. I like hearing people talk about him. It hurts that some people pretend he never existed. Hard physical work. I'm perfectly capable of doing it. I don't need to find a man to help me. I get really tired of hearing, a lady shouldn't be doing this type of work. Sex. Americans are so backwards when it comes to sex education. Even our media thinks it's less acceptable than someone getting decapitated in a movie. Moving several states away for a boyfriend past age 21. I'm not a lovesick teenager. I was 25 at the time. I knew what I was doing. I hated the state I lived in, and the star my boyfriend lived in provided way more opportunities. My boyfriend is now my husband. There are plenty of horror stories, but these people barely interacted with me before casting judgment and/or giving me unsolicited advice. Moving was hands down the best damn decision I ever made, and I refuse to let anyone make me feel guilty over it. Overwork. Like, don't leave me out of a project because you think I'm too busy. It's paternalistic as hell, and I'll decide my own workload, thanks. Using public transport, interacting with men, traveling alone, opening the door to men, delivery guys or whatever. Going to certain places after sunset. Edit. Punctuation. Parents in general protect their children more than they need to and sometimes don't give them the space to learn and make mistakes, even as adults. Making me angry or upset. I get it, neither emotions are pleasant, but just let me talk it out so I can deal with it and move on. Trying to avoid it causes more damage and just makes me feel like you think I can't handle things. Putting myself in harm's way. If I understand, and am willing, to risk my own physical harm, I've clearly already made a decision. Unless you're telling me a safety concern I haven't already addressed, screw off and keep your fear to yourself. Especially with the protests, I had more than a few friends and family members be extremely concerned that I would even want to go, let alone go towards the front or be there in a protective manner. The thing is, it's not their decision, and it just makes me feel as though my loved ones aren't protecting me, they're also not supporting me. Any type of work with tools, power tools. I may be short, but I was building furniture and fixing roofs since I started grade school. Hopefully, I am answering this correctly, but my answer is growing up. I will be turning 19 in October, and every time I bring up the topic of moving out, or maybe even eventually engaging in sexual intercourse, I am a virgin, she gives me mixed emotions or the run around to protect me from things I'm ready for. As I am typing this, I've realized maybe she is protecting herself. Sorry for the useless comment. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and people try to protect me from alcohol. I don't get upset about it. I get that they mean well, but at a few years sober I don't feel the need to be protected. I'm in a really stable place regarding my sobriety, and I feel that at this point it's my responsibility to do what I need to do to stay sober. I wish people felt more comfortable drinking around me. It's not their fault that I'm unable to have a healthy relationship with alcohol, and they should be able to unwind or let loose however they see fit. Living life as a single woman. My messiness disorder. If it's in my own space, it's none of your business. The truth about what went on with our siblings within the family. I found out a bunch of stuff later, and it didn't make me feel protected. It made me feel like a simpleton who couldn't be trusted to process information. It also made me not trust my dad. I still can't have an honest conversation with him to this day because it's all just smoke and mirrors and smiley faces. Just don't hide everything from your kids and expect complete transparency in return, especially as they grow up. They'll just think you have to hide everything that isn't perfect and pretend everything is okay all the time. My boyfriend's dad and dad's wife go on vacation a lot. Sometimes just for the weekend, sometimes a whole week, which leaves my boyfriend home alone. We don't get to see each other much now due to COVID and his dad not wanting me around too much when my boyfriend isn't there. So when I can have the chance to spend a few nights with him and get some alone time, I want to take the chance, but he always is like, I don't want you to be home alone all day, like boy. I can handle myself, and I have been living somewhat on and off at your house for like 2 years. Yes, it's not the best area, but it's not like houses are getting broken into every day. Getting my feelings hurt. It's usually something not being disclosed, shared. And I always find it 100 times worse to find out about something bad well after the fact. For me, Personally, it was the truth of my paternity. I learned after taking a DNA test for fun at 35 that my parents used donor sperm to conceive me. My dad, who raised me, had been dead over 20 years when I found out. There was no reason to not tell me. I had a feeling my entire life that something was off, and was deeply depressed, yet relieved, when I learned the truth. Since learning the truth, I've become a big advocate for disclosing the truth to all kinds of people in similar situations of undisclosed paternity and maternity, in the cases of those conceived via egg donor. It's a person's right to know their genetic origins. When someone starts saying nasty things about you. When I was in high school, some girl in my choir started saying nasty things about me behind my back. When I got called into the counseling office, that's how I found out. I was shocked. Apparently all of my friends had known and no one decided to tell me. I was more hurt by my friends not telling me than the actual comments that were made. I'm into urban exploration and have been doing it since I was a kid. Granted, there are dangers you have to watch out for: unsteady or weak flooring and roofing, tetanus, black mold, asbestos, police, squatters, etc. I am aware of these dangers and always exercise healthy caution when exploring, and am often surprised when people try to warn me. Like, wow, thanks, this is brand new information. Also, the thing I'm warned against most often is not structural danger, but rather, of all things, kidnapping and trafficking. Like, right, sure, there's totally someone posted at that abandoned tobacco barn buried deep in the woods, just spending their months waiting for the right young unprotected woman to go waltzing by. Gore, in any type of media. I have a level of guts and gore that I can stand before it makes me uncomfortably, and that level is way above some men that I know. There are times when people try to warn me against watching a video or looking at a picture because it contains blood, as if blood hasn't been a monthly part of my life for years at this point. I always respond, I'm a biologist who has run experiments on both my and other people's blood. Why would this bother me? Being single. People try to protect me from the hard questions other people ask. But that's up to me. Someone asks about what it's like to be a woman, or what it's like to be disabled. I open my mouth to answer, and Prince Charming comes in defending me like, that's so rude to ask. It usually isn't. I want to talk about the hard things, and by trying to protect me, I was silenced. And so was the person asking me the question in the first place. Huntington's disease. My dad has it and my family pussyfoots around it because they think I am too sensitive. Making mistakes. My mom tried so hard to control things I did because she made the same mistakes. Thing is, I'm never going to learn the lesson unless I experience the mistake. It's just not the same. Swear words. In grad school, my advisor used to apologize whenever he accidentally said the word crap in front of me because his mother taught him to never swear in front of ladies. Like, dude, I swear like a sailor, my ears can handle it. Driving too much or too long. I know how to drive TF. Money, fame and romantic love. Whenever I go to my older sister for personal advice, say, about my relationship, she likes to tell my parents all about it. She claims they're all worried and want to protect me, but it really does the opposite effect and makes me feel untrustworthy of her. If I wanted advice for my own personal problems, I'd go to them directly. Falling, most literally. Teach me how to absorb shock and roll out of it instead of preventing all falls. That's not how I learn. Also applicable in other life situations where I learn to avoid more than to handle, not good. My actual job. My male coworkers keep standing in front of me when I'm talking to someone and it drives me nuts. My mom says that not supporting me in my relationship is her way to protect me from going through the same mistakes that she did. Similar situation. Different people, and I wish she wouldn't, cause honestly, not every guy from a foreign country is like my dad. Misplacing my things by moving them to a supposedly better location, when in reality I know exactly where I left them and you're moving them makes them harder for me to find. I was looking through my wallet at a traffic light and a sketchy-looking dude came up and said I'd need to be careful as someone might grab it. I gave my best our boyfriend and said I would like to see them try. I'd break their FC King wrist. He scuttled off pretty quick. Making my own damn decisions. I've done the research. I'm not ignorant. Just trust me to make a well-informed decision that won't put me in any danger. FFS. Being an oppressed member of LGBT, I don't need you to be offended for me,